But I want to come out and apologise because I feel, it's appropriate to make that apology to the people who came to the press conference and the viewing audiences. I sincerely apologise, and I'll try and improve.
He just smacked the fucking table. There's 4 fighters on that stage who are literally half the age of this man, and yet he is the man who everyone is fucking terrified.
Breaking news. Carl Froch has finally addressed the table flipping chaos, and he did not hold back. The Cobra made it crystal clear that the threats crossed a line. Cool, composed, and razor-sharp, Carl Froch exposed the behavior, and now, after that $100,000 fine, the tone from John Fury has completely changed.
Quite, if I was a bit of a snowflake, then I'd have been upset, I'd have been offended by it, because it was threatening, he was calling it on, and he was saying basically watch your back, and you don't want to go back to prison. So he needs to be careful, doesn't he? I mean, he's talking about going back to prison, so he's putting loose threats out there for me and Joe.
And there it is. After flipping the table and getting hit with a $100,000 fine pushed by Carl Froch, John Fury is now apologizing publicly. The tone is different. The fire has cooled. When the Cobra stands firm, even the loudest man in the room eventually has to answer for it.
Good morning, people. Just want to make a quick apology for my inappropriate language yesterday. It's unacceptable. I accept that. But emotions run high, we get involved, and it is the fight game. It was pandemonium. But let me sincerely apologise for my outburst of language. I wasn't alone doing it, but I want to come out and apologise because I feel, it's appropriate to make that apology to the people who came to the press conference.
Johnny Nelson makes it plain and simple. Do it again and you pay again. That $100,000 fine was not pocket change, it was a warning shot. Carl Froch drew a line and the board backed it. In this game, passion is allowed, but chaos comes with a very expensive price tag.
And if he does it again and he's over, he's going to get fined again. And I don't know if it's by the pound, by the ounce, what he's getting fined for, but it's an expensive miscalculation.
Now the ridicule starts creeping in. When the dust settles after a $100,000 fine and a public apology, people begin to laugh. The bravado looks different. Carl Froch stayed composed while others turned it into comedy. That table flip moment is no longer intimidating, it is becoming embarrassing.
Father of the king of the world. I think he's referring to Tyson Fury. When you have kids, most people, when they want to talk about their children, they might pull their mobile phone out and show a few pictures. Big John just shows you his balls. That's where they came from. If there's anyone who needs a Manscaped advert, it's fucking John Fury. Always.
And now it gets serious. This was not just shouting and theatrics. Robert Smith confirms there was physical contact and the board stepped in. That $100,000 fine was not random, it was a decision made after review. Carl Froch kept his cool while the authorities handled the fallout.
Actually, so there will be an appeal taking place. So that fine could be reduced or it could be increased. It goes in front of a completely independent appeal stewards.
Johnny Nelson knows exactly what is coming next. When Carl Froch speaks, he does not hold back. Yes, the chaos grabbed attention, but now the spotlight shifts back to the Cobra. Sharp tongue, sharp mind, and no need to flip tables. Carl Froch will handle it his way, with words and authority.
Froch on fine, because I'm quite sure Carl's going to rip the life out of John after today. I think John did a job. John did a job and got the excitement going, got people talking. That's exactly what he did.
Frank Warren makes it clear this was never needed. When you already have a big fight, you do not need circus acts at the press conference. The table flip overshadowed the boxing. Carl Froch understood that from the start. He kept it about the sport while others let emotion take over. That $100,000 fine proves the establishment agreed. Hype is one thing, but losing control is another.
I like it. People think because you're a promoter you like all that stuff. Me, I didn't like.
Eddie Hearn did not take chances. A wall of security says everything. When tensions rise around Carl Froch, people know it can spark instantly. But here is the difference. Carl Froch talks tough and stands firm, yet he stays composed. The reaction around him shows how volatile the situation became after that table flip. Security was not there for drama. It was there because things had already crossed the line.
You honestly think if these two come together like this, well, you know what's going to happen?
So what you?
I'm going to keep them apart by a wall of security.
Adam Smith tries to frame it as fun and games, but let's be honest, it went beyond playful banter. Carl Froch thrives on strong opinions and straight talking. That is part of his identity. But he keeps it verbal and controlled. The moment tables start flying and fines start landing, it stops being entertainment. $100,000 is not fun, it is a consequence. Carl Froch stayed within the boundaries of boxing theater. John Fury stepped outside them and had to apologize.
You know is that John Fury and Carl Froch on the cobbles will be fun. I think they both have a good fun doing that, but I'm sure it's all fun and games. They like to say what they believe, they like to say something that's controversial, and they're two big characters, and we love having them around the sports.
Ade Oladipo confirms what everyone saw. John Fury went straight for Carl Froch. That was not staged drama, that was real tension. And here is the key point. Carl Froch did not chase, did not panic, did not overreact. He stood firm. That composure is what separates a seasoned world champion from chaos. The fine came after actions, not words. Now with the apology out, it is clear who maintained control and who lost it in the heat of the moment.
Being John Fury went straight for him. I'm not quite sure what he was going to do if he got to him, but I guess that was the entertainment from the press conference.
Even in the middle of the chaos, Spencer Oliver leans toward the Cobra. 48 years old and still in shape, still dangerous, still respected. That says everything. Carl Froch carries that fighter's presence. When John Fury starts steaming into legends like Lennox Lewis as well, it becomes less about rivalry and more about reckless emotion. The Cobra does not need to shout about fighting anyone. His legacy speaks. And after that fine and apology, the power balance feels very clear.
John Fury, Carl Froch, who wins that one?
Difficult one to call, that,
Really?
You got to go with the
Really?
Cobra. You got to go with the Cobra, mate.
Really?
The Cobra's dangerous. He's still in shape. 48 years of age.
John's standing over there behind you.
You got to go with John Fury. Yeah, no, it kicked off a little bit. It wasn't only Carl Froch that he went into either, did he? He actually went into Lennox Lewis as well. He started steaming into Lennox Lewis a little bit, and I go, whoa, who wins that one?
Dave Allen keeps it respectful, but even he cannot condone what happened. That tells you everything. Loyalty aside, flipping tables and crossing lines is not a good look. Carl Froch did not need theatrics to make his point. He stood his ground and let the authorities deal with it. The $100,000 fine was not personal, it was professional. And now with the apology out in public, it shows that discipline always wins over disorder.
I'm not saying that I condone that behaviour, because I don't. You can't, it's impossible to. But John is my mate, I've got respect for him, I respect the family, we're cool. So, you're never going to hear me say a bad word about it, but at the same time, obviously, no. It's probably not the Steve Bunce thing, I thought, bloody hell. Didn't like it, really.
Gareth A. Davies highlights the passion, but passion is not an excuse for losing control. Everyone in boxing is passionate. Carl Froch built a career on intensity, grit, and raw emotion, yet he channeled it inside the ropes. Being called out verbally is part of the sport. Responding by flipping furniture is another level. The fine forced reflection. The apology confirmed it. And through all of it, Carl Froch remained composed, calculated, and completely unshaken.
John does. He's very, very, very passionate around his sons when they're fighting, and it gets something out of him. I spoke to him, right, literally face to face, and I said, well, you know, what is upset? He said, I don't want people calling me out because I'll take any man on.
Yeah.
You know the comments.
Yeah.
My guy came.
Adam Smith paints the scene perfectly. Carl Froch has always been fearless when speaking his mind, and when he commented on the Furies, John Fury reacted with fury, literally. But Carl Froch's approach is never reckless. He knows exactly how to push buttons without crossing lines. Unlike John Fury, who lost control at the press conference and paid a hefty $100,000 fine, Carl Froch stayed composed and commanding. He lets his words do the talking while others act out. This incident proves why Carl Froch is respected inside and outside the ring. He can create tension, make a statement, and remain untouchable, while chaos around him serves only to highlight his professionalism and mastery of the mental game.
Having a go at the Furies probably over his time on his channel, maybe, I'm guessing, and John didn't like that and wants to have a fight with him, something like that.
It was something like that. I don't think he was necessarily turning down a fight.
What I do know is that John Fury and Carl Froch on the cobbles will be fun. I think they both have a good.
Tyson Fury's words hit hard when you think about Carl Froch and John Fury. While Tyson speaks about hunger and discipline, the contrast could not be starker at that press conference. Carl Froch embodies that focus. His intelligence and composure show the mental hunger that comes with being a true champion. John Fury's outburst, on the other hand, cost him $100,000. While chaos grabbed headlines, Carl Froch's example shows that true dominance comes from control and precision, not theatrics. Fans see it, the media sees it, and the Cobra's reputation only grows stronger because while others explode, he calmly asserts his authority and leaves a lasting impression.
To be around people, just to show them what hunger is and desire is, and when you're at the top, to show them to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Hopefully they learn, it rubs off on them.
Liam Goff's insight shows how Carl Froch operates differently from most fighters. He does not escalate recklessly, he negotiates with brains and integrity. Even when confronted with John Fury's confrontational style, Carl Froch kept the idea professional, turning a potential clash into a planned exhibition and even offering charity as the purpose. Contrast that with John Fury's impulsive actions at the press conference that led to a $100,000 fine. Carl Froch remains composed, calculating, and focused on the bigger picture. He shows why experience and restraint matter, how respect for the sport outweighs ego, and why, even in heated situations, the Cobra always holds the upper hand in control and perception.
John Fury was doing that and goading Carl Froch. And I know John Fury doesn't like Carl Froch. Carl Froch mentions him, although I haven't really watched much of Carl Froch's videos lately. But Carl Froch, I know, has mentioned John Fury in the past. He's had a go with John Fury. They actually talked about having an actual, was it an exhibition or a boxing type match? And John Fury, any man, any time, was saying words to the effect of, oh, I'll fight you, Carl Froch, but the money has to be right. And Carl Froch basically said, all right, well, if we arrange payment, it can go to...
Shane Fury's reaction sums up the environment perfectly. Online jabs and videos can stir tempers, but face-to-face accountability is a different story. Carl Froch understands this implicitly. He never crosses the line physically but communicates powerfully, controlling the room. John Fury, on the other hand, let emotion dominate and ended up with a $100,000 fine. This incident proves that experience, composure, and calculated responses command respect. Carl Froch shows the fans and fighters alike that true authority comes from intelligence, timing, and confidence rather than chaos and spectacle. The Cobra remains untouchable even when surrounded by drama.
It used to be like you can talk about someone online and do videos, but not expect someone to say anything when you see someone. So I don't know. Listen, my dad's got his ways and his points, and 90% of the time he's half right, but listen.
The aftermath of the press conference has set the record straight. John Fury's table flip and outburst may have made headlines, but it was Carl Froch who commanded respect through composure, intelligence, and sheer presence. The $100,000 fine proved that actions have consequences and that true authority is earned through control, not chaos. Fans witnessed the contrast between emotion and strategy, between impulsiveness and calculated response. Carl Froch continues to show why he is not just a fighter but a master of the mental game. Every word he speaks, every stance he takes, is measured and respected. While others lost themselves in theatrics, Carl Froch remained untouchable, reminding the boxing world that legacy is built on discipline, skill, and character. This is the kind of professionalism that defines champions and sets examples for younger fighters. If you want more updates, reactions, and exclusive behind-the-scenes insight from the world of boxing, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay tuned because the drama around Carl Froch and John Fury is far from over and the next chapter is about to unfold.